Golden State Media Concepts social media podcast. Time to hashtag everything. We talk about all the fun, crazy stories on social media. From Instagram to Facebook, Twitter to Tumblr, or probably even Friendster. Join us each week as we explore the quirky side of social media. It's the Golden State Media Concepts social media podcast.
It's simple, such a sad song. The one that we rely on to get us.
Everybody, welcome back to the GSMC Social Media's podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I'm your host, Jose, and again, thank you for listening to the podcast. There really wasn't much going on in terms of news this week, and across all social media platforms, it was sort of not a boring week, but it was more of a slow kind of week. But nonetheless, I'm still going to try to report as much as I can within this sort of intro here. So yeah, our first segment, as I like to start doing with all my podcasts, is basically new or news this week, and talking about again anything that happened in terms of news on the internet, on social media, or anything like that. So yeah, without further ado, we're gonna start off with YouTube again, because YouTube is it's a very prominent social media platform amongst all of them, just because there's so much content on the website and things are getting produced every single day. So yeah, and the first thing I noticed on the YouTube trending page is that K-pop just still continues to dominate the trending page every single week. So I didn't really report on this last week or anything like that, just because I thought it wasn't a really major event within the past couple of weeks. But anyways, it's still dominating YouTube, and I think honestly, it's really cool to see all these Asian and groups come in and sort of become part of the American culture, where people are sort of listening to it. And Blackpink, BTS, and all these K-pop groups are starting to break into this sort of new mold. Usually at first their demographic was in Asia, but now a lot of fans are listening to the music here, and more people are getting involved with their culture, with their styles, with their music, and everything else around them. And I think it's really interesting to see their music travel across the world, basically. Even my family listens to K-pop sometimes, especially my mom. Shout out to my mom. But yeah, she listens to K-pop sometimes too, and I think it's really cool, because it's something I wouldn't really think a lot of people would listen to, but now with the popularity of K-pop, it's in everyone's playlist now. So I think that's really cool to see. And as being Filipino, as being Asian, it's wonderful to see this culture sort of reach its way across the world and, become a part of another. And yeah, that's really exciting. For Twitter, it really wasn't really much on Twitter. It was more on just random little things. So as today is March 1st, as I'm recording this, it marks the beginning of March Madness. So I never really wasn't into, March Madness, anything like that, or fantasy football, just because I never really got up to it or grew up with it. But it still is a cool thing to see amongst my friends and my family, just getting involved with that. So even my brother did fantasy football during the season, and again, it was really cool to see him do that, because that was his first year doing it, and seeing the picks of the week, or what happened this certain game, and yeah, all of that is really fun to see people getting involved with that. And now March Madness is around the corner, and hopefully everyone's brackets are going to be great. Kind of wish I did get more involved with the whole March Madness and basketball scene. I tried growing up on it, but I got busy, and my attention sort of divided into other things. And yeah, but nonetheless, again, it's March Madness soon, and wish your friends, your family, anyone you know, good luck that's participating. And again, hopefully they win the tournament. And yeah, again on Twitter, this is kind of funny, but another trending thing is it's called hashtag free switch. Yeah, sorry, I almost read that wrong. Hashtag free switch. no one really knows why it's popular. I see people on the thread just like talking like, I don't know what this is, but hashtag free Switch. And there's like a bunch of memes where the Nintendo Switch is like in a jail cell and like free the Switch. He didn't do anything wrong. And it's really funny because I think it originated from a Twitter account by the name of, I think, DNP3. Basically, he was giving out a free Nintendo Switch, hence the hashtag free Switch. He was doing a giveaway on that, and people thought the hashtag was kind of funny because when someone's in internet culture, when someone's in jail, people are like hashtag free whatever the name is. So like hashtag free Brian or whatever, like whatever. And but now like people are doing like hashtag free Switch. He didn't do nothing wrong. Get him out of there. And then I think it's just really funny just because how like internet just doesn't take anything seriously sometimes. And yeah. But I think that was really it for Twitter. There wasn't really much going on. Again, Instagram doesn't have a trending page, so it's really hard for me to report on that. TikTok also does not have a trending page. I really can't go an episode without mentioning about TikTok, but yeah, TikTok does not have one, and I think I'm just gonna go straight to like news in general. But in relation to the free Switch, someone else got freed up from jail recently, and his name is Bobby Shmurda. He's a rapper that a decent amount of people know about. He blew up in around 2016 with a song called Hot Boy. I don't know if you're listening. I don't know if you heard about this. It goes like, about a week ago. It's like that song. And like in 2016, he went to jail because of he got caught with crime, and then eventually he went to jail. And then now he got recently released this year. I think like last week actually. And honestly, it's kind of funny to see just all the memes that came out of it, just because of like what people were putting out, like all the jokes they were making about it. But nonetheless, I keep saying that word, but nonetheless, he's back. He's back out, and he was actually initially sentenced for 7 years in jail, but I think since he was, in there for good behavior, he got released out a year early. I think if I do the math correctly, 2016 or 2 years early, I guess. Yeah, 2 years early, and his popular song "Hot Boy" had around 305.3 million streams on Spotify, which is insane. And even back then, that song, like the "About a Week Ago" meme, like it was a big meme back then. It still kind of is. People make jokes about it currently, and now like sort of like the memes starting to come back just because he's released from jail, and he started making the music again. And there was a video actually of him returning home. I think it was like blowing up on both Twitter and TikTok, and then basically him coming back home, and then just him coming back to all like his platinum records and stuff like that, because Hot Boy was a really like big hit, and he came back home from like with all the plaques, and he was so hyped up, and I mean hopefully he learned his lesson, like being in jail, just not doing what he did to get in there in the first place. So yeah, he's back to making music, and people are still cracking jokes at him about how he's not gonna make another hit, or he's not gonna outlive Hot Boy, just because it was such a popular song. But again, I almost said nonetheless again, but again, I'm really excited for that. And there was a video on YouTube about him and another rapper, Quavo, who's part of Migos. He recently collaborated with him, and they hit up Icebox. So Icebox, to those who don't know, is a jewelry place where a lot of rappers go to get just all their jewelry, like the big necklaces, the diamond out bracelets, I think gold teeth even. So, but yeah, that was one of the first things Bobby did when he got out of jail, was to go Icebox. And yeah, again, I'm really excited to see what he has in the future. Hopefully, he's improved, both mentally and like musically wise. And yeah, again, really excited for that. Another thing on YouTube, I don't know why I didn't put this on the YouTube section, but another thing on YouTube is that Billie Eilish recently released a virtual concert or an event on YouTube. So initially it was teased on her Instagram at February 21st, so a couple of weeks ago, and that gained like millions of likes just because people were so excited on that. And so yeah, and again, I'm a big fan of Billie Eilish, so I kind of saw that. Like, I followed her on Instagram, and I saw that, and I was, I still need to check it out, though, but again, I'm excited. And, yeah, it's called The World's a Little Blurry, so it's a live performance but not really live just because it's a pre-recorded video, unless it was live streamed. I'm not really sure. Yeah, but still, she released it and it came out, I guess a day ago, and it's already at 1 million streams or views on YouTube, which is actually crazy because knowing, well, actually, it's not that crazy because knowing Billie Eilish and how like a big of a following she has, her fans would love to support what she does, and just seeing all that like that quick of a reaction on YouTube is really cool. And yeah, it's number 23 on trending page, and it was released a little bit over a day, I guess. I can't do the exact like count, but I mean the YouTube video said it was like a day, but I'm just assuming at this point it's a little bit over. But whatever. Yeah, the video is at 1 million streams. It's more of a documentary type performance. So at first she intros the video with a random clip of her driving, and then eventually comes back to home and then starts performing. And I still need to watch the rest. But something I can do, like, my off time while I'm doing work. But yeah, I'm really excited. I've been a big fan of Billie Eilish since like 2018-ish. So not that long, but still consider myself a big fan of what her music is. And yeah, to those people who don't really know who Billie Eilish is, I'm trying to remember what she's like. I think she's like 17 or 18. But she started her like rise at like 15 years old, which is absolutely crazy because when I was 15. What was I? I was like a freshman in high school. Yeah, I was a freshman in high school. Wasn't doing really much, but she was already making a career when she was my age. I am older than her, which is crazy. But yeah, she's a really good artist. She has popular songs. I think one of her most popular songs is "Bad Guy," which has been played in the radio multiple times. A lot of people have heard about it. That goes like the bad. I'm not gonna sing on podcast, but yeah, it's that one. Yeah, overall, just check out Billie Eilish. If you want, check out Bobby Shmurda too. Yeah, hopefully he's learned his lesson in jail, and I'm really excited for both of them when it comes to their music. And they're still quite early. They're still quite early in their music careers to learn more and gain more experience in terms of music and stuff like that. But I think that's really it for the news this week. Again, like I said in the beginning, there wasn't really much just because it's been a sort of a slow week. It wasn't like a bad week in terms of the internet or social media, but again, thankfully nothing crazy happened or nothing bad happened in the course of this week. And yeah, I just hope there's big news coming out like next week or something in terms of social media, so I can have something to report on. Yeah, I scroll through like Twitter's trending feed. And I just see like sort of the same recycled stuff where it's like sponsored hashtags or sponsored topics, like hashtag Taco Bell. We got the new Crunchwrap Supreme, and that's really it. People are just talking about the Crunchwrap Supreme coming out or whatever. It's not really like that interesting in terms of topics, but like there's not really much going on social media right now. I'm not sure exactly why, but there's still kind of I guess like an internet drought where this week has kind of been kind of slow. Then again, this week did just start, so hopefully soon as the weeks progress, or something good or something interesting happens within the next couple of days for me to talk about. Because again, the most like highlighted thing this week was Bobby Shmurda coming back, and that kind of happened a little bit I was gonna say about a week ago. Actually, I'm gonna say that happened about a week ago, and yeah. That's really much it for this segment. So I guess I'll just start talking about my next one. So in my next segment, which I'm going to be introing, talking about soon. I want to kind of touch upon something I talked about in previous 2 podcasts, but I never really dive deep on it. It's cancel culture, and I think cancel culture is actually one of the most important topics you should know about when it comes to social media, when it comes to the internet, just because it's something you need to keep track of or keep aware of. When first diving into social media, just because cancel culture can be dangerous or it can be a positive thing. And again, I don't really want to voice my opinion on cancel culture just because it's such a 50-50 topic with me, and it's something that people need to know, and that's something I will talk about. So in my next segment, I will talk about cancel culture and what it is and the whole world that goes around it. But first, we're going to take a quick break.
Do you want to be healthier, yet you just don't know what to do? All these shows telling you this and that, but nothing seems to work. Well, listen close. Golden State Media Concepts has got something great for you. The Health and Wellness Podcast dedicated to workout trends, healthy eating habits, diet, and everything about healthy living. Join us in our banters as we help you not just live life to the fullest, but live it to the healthiest.
Alright, everybody, welcome back to the podcast. I kind of want to start off this segment by just saying thanks, first off, for listening to the podcast. It really means a lot for all the support and for all the listens. So, yeah, again, thank you so much. And without further ado, let's get right into it. So, I ended off last segment with really talking about what is cancel culture. I didn't explain it, but I sort of prefaced it, what we're going to be talking about. And again, I had mentioned this in previous podcasts, I think twice already, with the two I've done, and yeah, like what even is cancel culture, and why do I talk about it so much? And I think it's just something that's very prominent amongst internet culture today, and it's something that's kind of been taken over, in terms of users, and so it's in their vocabulary when they're on social media. It's something that a lot of people talk about. It's something that you cannot really avoid when you're on the internet. So at first, take a couple 10 years back. You're on the internet, no one really cared about cancel culture. No one really thought of that, or what it was, or what canceling even meant. But like now, in more recent years, it's starting to grow into people's sort of, I guess, like internet mentality, and it's just becoming more and more and more prominent. And that can be a problem or a solution for a lot of different people. It really depends on who you are or how you see the situation at hand. So I kind of want to talk about what really is cancel culture, and why it's so, or I guess why it's so important, and I guess why or how it's changed so many people's lives today. So I guess to start off, what it really is cancel culture. So I kind of first off want to cite my sources, I guess, and that's from the Daily. So they did also do a podcast about cancel culture, and they talked about a lot of information about people involved in things that were said or whatever, and it did really make me understand cancel culture a lot better. So, actually, fun fact, I actually had to teach or show that podcast to my class that I had to teach. So I'm a mentor at my school, and one of the lessons for that week was about cancel culture, and listening to that podcast really also helped them, and making students understand what cancel culture is and the importance of being careful online really did show me also the importance of what I need to be aware of when I'm posting on social media or whatnot. So I think the cancel culture is something, again, you really need to listen to or keep track of. So basically with cancel culture, or quote-unquote call-out culture, is basically sort of the same thing. It's in the name. It's basically withdrawing support for public figures. It's mainly like its origin is in Twitter. That's where a lot of it came from. At first, it was a meme. Canceling something would just be a joke, but now people have sort of taken it to a different height. And the actual definition I just said, so I forget to cite my sources again, but it's from dictionary.com. Shout out to dictionary.com for doing that. But yeah, so it originally originated on Twitter, and at first it was just a joke. People were saying, cancel this, cancel that, or, my TV's not working, we got to cancel my TV. It was a joke, so no one really took it seriously until more and more people started to use it, and as more people use it, they applied it to different things, especially people and their behaviors. So I remember back in 2018, Barack Obama sort of made a statement about cancel culture or how people are when it comes to online, and he said a quote said here. He says, "If you're all the ones casting stones, you probably won't get far." So it's a very simple quote, but it kind of does mean a lot. So it's, in a sense, it's I don't know how to simplify that. It's kind of like really in the quote. It's like if you're the one saying all these things, you're not really going to get anywhere. And a lot of people did agree with that. You can't really just be calling out people or canceling people out of your own free will. There has to be a reason. There has to be sort of evidence and a reason why. So you can't really just be casting stones to people, saying all these things with no evidence or no reason on why you're even casting these stones. I'm hoping what I'm saying makes sense, but that's what it really is, and that's what Obama said. And yeah, and that was one of his quotes that he said back in like 2018, and yeah, it did resonate with a lot of people, but a lot of people sort of disagree with that just because maybe he's not really addressing a serious problem. Maybe he's just saying a random quote that he's not taking seriously. So again, that's what I said earlier. It really depends on the person or how you view the situation. Yeah. But a lot of people believe that the growth of cancel culture was because of COVID. So, like I said before, in the origin of on Twitter of the word canceling, it really didn't mean much back then. I'm assuming it started back in like 2016 and 2017, where people were just saying cancel just for the fun of it. But now with the growth of all social media platforms, more and more people getting on it, cancel culture or the word cancel had just gone to different heights. And prior to COVID, no one really cared about canceling other people or checking their Twitter from 10 years ago. People were just like they said something on Twitter and that was it. They went on with their day. But nowadays, if someone says something kind of suspicious or can be seen as insulting, they immediately just start doing FBI stuff and just start looking across their account and seeing if there's anything they can use to tear that person down or quote unquote cancel them. And like after COVID, social circles became a lot smaller. More and more people were stuck at home. No one really talked to people outside, which is the reason why no one really stayed on social media, because prior to COVID, people were socially outside talking to other people away from their phones. But now, since everyone's still at home because of COVID, more and more people are occupying their time on social media, and they got nothing else to do because they can't really socialize with people or talk with friends. So they're spending a lot of time more on social media, doing whatever they want, and people gained more curiosity along those lines. And especially recently, J.K. Rowling. So she was the one that she wrote Harry Potter books. She wrote all of the Harry Potter novels. She was loved by a lot of children when they were younger because a lot of people grew up in Harry Potter, and so did I. I grew up with a lot of her books. I more so watched the movies than I did than the books, but still, a lot of people loved her as a kid because she made books that lasted memories for a lifetime. And she's still I think she's still making books now. She's still an author, but J.K. Rowling was criticized, and I believe she's currently canceled, or a lot of people are still trying to cancel her. And so the reason for that, so there's sort of a long backstory which I'm going to explain, on reasons why she was canceled. So initially started off with a researcher, with her name of Maya Forstater. Yeah, Maya Forstater. So she tweeted somewhat transphobic tweets, and I believe this was earlier this year, so it was fairly recent. So yeah, Maya tweeted these tweets that seemed transphobic, and Maya stated that she did not agree with that trans women are women, and some people got really furious about what she said. And what surprised people more is that J.K. Rowling did sort of agree with Maya with that, trans women are not women and trans men are not men. So they agreed with that. And Maya even called some of these things delusions, and J.K. Rowling's still backing up what she said. And that threw a lot of people off just because, how can a beloved author of your childhood say these things online and not sort of regret anything about it? Like J.K. Rowling still stands on what she said on Twitter. And yeah, that people got mad about that, and people were upset at this situation, which is completely understandable because these are things that cancel culture sort of looks at. And yeah, J.K. Rowling publicly supported it. And now, with those recent events, fans are, quote unquote, quitting Harry Potter, no longer supporting her books, her movies, anything that she really makes. And yeah, it's crazy to see with how quickly things can change in the course of a week. 1 minute you can forget about J.K. Rowling, and then the next you see her post on Twitter, and now she's one of your mortal enemies, in a sense. And that's what cancel culture really is. And they've been trying to cancel J.K. Rowling because of what she said about those transphobic tweets. And everyone has the right to be upset on however they want. And that's, yeah, J.K. Rowling was one of the main people that have become victim of cancel culture. However, in the opposite of that, there's a lot of things that a lot of people don't know about, and sometimes people tend to forget that J.K. Rowling does do charity work. So she created a charity called Lumos, and it basically aids orphan children. And in 2011, she even donated $160 million of her own money to support Lumos and the people who are in need, especially children. And that no longer made her a billionaire. She could have been a billionaire, but she'd rather donate her money to help orphan children or just children in need, to support them rather than just become a billionaire. So that's something that a lot of people don't really pay attention to. And it really does bring the question about, true self, or with what she said, does it really define who she truly is? Is it something that's part of her personality, like a small portion of it? Is it something that defines 100% of her own personality? Or does it really just define 20% of her? So these are a lot of questions that you really have to ask before canceling someone or thinking about cancel culture or something like that. There's a lot of questions you got to put in at hand before you make a decision to basically attempt to ruin someone's career. And that's why I'm so iffy with cancel culture, because it provides justice to those people who have the right to be taken down or canceled. Or it also provides a way for people to take advantage of that. Or say if you hate someone, you hate, an old friend of yours, you can use cancel culture to your advantage and essentially cancel someone. And it's something that, that really doesn't sit right with me when someone takes advantage of cancel culture, because it's something that people will just hop on quickly and people agree on as soon as they hear it. So if you hear one false allegation but believe it's real, people will immediately agree to that false allegation and think it's real, and then they'll immediately hop on it and then start to find everything, like any small detail they did wrong, and essentially try to just cancel their whole entire career. And it really does bring a lot of questions at hand, especially when it comes to that James Gunn situation where I mentioned a couple episodes back. He said homophobic and racist stuff on Twitter back then, and people quickly found out about what he said and went down his Twitter timeline and screenshotted it and put it out to the world to see again. And it's one of those things where, does what he did before define who he is now? Maybe he's not like that anymore. Maybe he just thought it was funny back then, but now he's matured and grown up and no longer thinks what he said was funny, but never really deleted those tweets. And that's why still a lot of, again, like I said before, questions still arise from a lot of these. If you have a question, another question can come out of it, and that's why cancel culture is a very, very, very not touchy or iffy subject. It's a very complicated subject to talk about. I did all this research prior to this podcast. I still don't know a lot about cancel culture, and it's something that everyone needs to do research on. It's something that everyone needs to pay attention to. And yeah, cancel culture can be looked at two different ways. It can be a good thing and a bad thing, and it really, again, like I said, it depends on the person itself. It really does depend on the situation at hand too. Does the person deserve the right to be canceled, or is it something that someone is just taking advantage of? So yeah, it's something to be careful of. I know I sound like a broken record, but it's something that just resonates in my head, that cancel culture is something that I don't think will go away. It's something that will only become more and more complicated throughout the years, and yeah, it's something that you just gotta keep track of. But now my next segment. Wow, what a great segue! But I kind of want to lighten up the little, the mood of this episode so far. But I kind of want to talk about words or phrases that are really popular now, I guess. So if you're a parent listening to this episode, keep track of this section or this segment here, just because you're able to learn a couple things to talk to your kids about, or if you're just not in the know, maybe you will be after this segment. But first, we're gonna take a quick break. So I'll see you all in a minute, I guess.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the podcast. And last segment, I sort of just ended up talking about random stuff, and I kind of wanted to throw in here a little segment that was a little bit fun, uplifting since that last segment there. But I kind of want to talk about words or phrases that a lot of people, I guess young people, are saying nowadays. So, yeah, again, if you're like a parent or just someone who wants to be in the know, this segment is just right for you, just because I'm someone who uses a lot of these phrases into my everyday vernacular. That's a big word right there, but yeah, my everyday vernacular, and I kind of want to put some of that stuff out there so y'all can know what I'm talking about. And so I kind of this is not new. This segment is not new. It's actually been done before by a previous host on this podcast. So shout out Devin. It's on episode 268 where she basically talked about words or phrases that were popular back in like 2019, early 2020, and I kind of want to make like an updated version of that. And yeah, without further ado, I'm going to talk about some of the older ones that are still kind of like alive, quote unquote alive today. But first off is lit. This is going to be so funny. Like making this is going to be so funny, but lit. Basically saying that's cool. Like, ooh, that party was lit. Or that party was so much fun. It's basically like that. Just like, and also it's a way to respond back. Like, yo, we're grabbing dinner later. Lit. It really has no like one meaning. It can be used in various ways, which you're gonna find a lot of these words do. A lot of these words have different like meanings, but still sort of like mean the same way. Yeah, you'll get it. Don't worry. Yeah, you'll understand. Next was finna. It's like gonna, like this pizza finna slap. Ooh, that's 2 in 1 right there. But finna is like, I guess it's gonna be good. It's gonna slap, and slapping means like it's good. So like, yeah, that movie slapped. The movie's good. Bae. I think a lot of you guys know like what bae is. Basically, like your significant other. YOLO. You only live once. No one really uses it anymore, but I just threw it in there because it was funny. LOL. That's a classic. That's really a classic there because a lot of people say that. And yeah, those were like mainly the older ones that no one really says, but still kind of like lives. You see in memes, you see in everyday like text culture or just internet in general. So now with some of the words that are in my vocabulary, I'm going to introduce, and other people's vocabulary too. But first is bet, word, and for real. They all mean the same thing. So like they all basically mean you agree on something. So like, yo, we're getting dinner later. Bet. Or word. Yo, we're getting dinner later. For real. Oh, for real. This is gonna be so. Oh my goodness. But yeah, like bet is basically just to use like to agree or say okay to certain things. Yo, I'm gonna get these shoes in a size 10 instead. Bet. Okay. Basically saying okay in that sense. GOAT. This one's a fairly decent amount of people know what this is, but GOAT is greatest of all time. So you can say LeBron James is the GOAT or Michael Jordan's the GOAT, and you can say the greatest of all time, and you can even say that's your parents. My mom and my dad, they're the GOATs, the greatest of all time. The greatest of all time. Period. This one's fairly new. I don't really use this one just because I don't know. I never really got into saying period, but basically like that's another thing you agree with. Like your outfit looks really good. Period. Basically period at the end of a sentence to finish the sentence to make a statement. Oh my gosh, that movie was so good. Period. I really hope I'm using this correctly, but definitely try some out. Definitely try some out soon. If you have kids or if you have friends, try them out around them. If you don't really know how to use these, let them know. Hey, son, am I using period correctly? Yo, that baseball game was so cool. Period. Usually they respond to period, but you can say period too. Anyways, simp. Simp is more of like an interesting term. It's fairly new also. So simp, basically calling someone who will do anything for attention from a crush or something like that. So it's kind of funny. It's kind of a funny word. So say if your friend is really like into this girl, but he's not giving him the time, and he's really spending so much money getting her flowers every single day to get her attention, but she's not giving him attention, that's a simp. It's kind of mean to call someone a simp, but again, it's like a joke thing, Oh, you have a girlfriend, you're a simp. I guess. I don't really use simp that much. I just say it in like a sort of a sarcastic way. But simp is kind of mean, I guess. But yeah, it's still a word that people say. Another one is not really like a phrase or a word. I guess it's a word, but it's like a name you give someone, a Karen. Yeah, this is not a good one for people named Karen. But it's a Karen. It's basically someone who asks for the manager at a restaurant because you're at McDonald's and this lady didn't get pickles. She only got one pickle, but you're supposed to get two pickles in your sandwich. She was like, "Hey, can I speak to the manager? The service here is really bad because I missed a pickle." That's a Karen. Basically, like someone who's a little rude to a worker or something like that, or someone who's just rude in general. I feel like someone's probably across a Karen at one point. But yeah, a Karen. I don't really use that one anyways, really, that often, just because I just never really had the need to use Karen. But that's also like an online meme too, Karen. Fire or hard. So this one is used to describe something that's good or something that's really cool. So like if someone say it was oh my gosh. For example, a friend of yours has a really nice outfit. You say that outfit goes hard. Oh, your outfit, that's fire. So it's like those things. Like fire is really hot. That's really, looks really good, I guess. I don't really explain why it's like fire, but yeah, it's fire. Like, oh, your the rims in your car, that's fire. Oh, these shoes, yeah, they go hard. So it really is up to each their own. It's up to you how you want to use the word. Personally, I use fire a lot just because it's like, I don't know honestly why I use fire a lot. It's just a word that I use. Like, I just say it a lot. But yeah, definitely fire. That's a really cool one. Down bad. It's kind of like simp. Simp and down bad really go hand in hand together. So basically, down bad is someone, again, who will do anything for attention of a crush. So if a girl is spending a lot of money on trying to impress a dude, or if she's really like obsessed over a guy online, she's down bad because like, say they've never even met online, but she's like really fallen for him. Yeah, she's down bad. You can also use the word simp in that same sentence. So there's a lot of like phrases and words you can really throw in together. That kind of like makes one full teenage sentence. So yeah, down bad really goes hand in hand with simp. Everyone's been down bad at one point in their life, just because we've all had that one crush we were obsessed about. And next up is stan. So stan is someone who really you support. It's really hard to explain it because stan can be used in various different ways. For example, a lot of people stan Keanu Reeves because he's a really nice person. There was a video resurfacing on Twitter, or like going around Twitter, where Keanu Reeves it's a very simple thing, but Keanu Reeves is on a subway, I think in New York or something like that, but he's in a subway, and there's this lady who entered the subway, and I think she was pregnant at the time, or it was just a lady, but anyways, there was a lady on the subway who just entered, and he gave up his seat for her to sit in. And, everyone loves Keanu Reeves. That's like a popular meme online, where Keanu Reeves is literally it's someone who can't follow, like he's someone who you cannot cancel because he's such a good person. And, yeah, we stand Keanu Reeves because he's a really nice person. Or, what's another person, like, who's, like, really, really, like, nice online? Gosh, that's really hard to think of. We can really say, like, not even celebrities, you can say it with your friends too. Like, say, I'm trying to think of like a real life example that I can use with my friends. So, like, say if my friend, she broke up with her toxic ex because he was really mean to her. We stan her because she did something that was really good for her, and that was really good for everyone else. And yeah, we stan her for her decision of getting out of that toxic relationship. And stan can, yeah. Again, you can use these words or phrases with younger people that you know, with kids especially. If you have kids, use them. They will really appreciate it. And yeah, and I think another one is woke. Woke. So woke is basically being, if you're thinking outside the box, you're thinking outside of the box. So basically you're like thinking like crazy. So if you found out a conspiracy theory about the government, you're woke. And what's another thing you use woke for? Like, you just found out, you were like one of the first people that found out about a certain song. You're woke for that. Woke, yeah, basically, it's sort of in the name where like woke is like you're so aware of a certain topic that you know more than an average person or normal person. Woke. And I don't really use woke that often just because like I'm not that spiritually inclined with myself, or I'm not that smart. No, I just, I've never really used woke in general. As I mentioned before, toxic. I said this before. I really should have prefaced what toxic meant before I said that one sentence about stan, yeah. But toxic is basically, I think it is a common one a lot of people know about. Toxic is a bad thing. It's more on, like I said, a relationship. It's a toxic relationship. Or you can say a friend is lying to you, to your face, but you, like, they won't admit it, but you just know they're lying to you. That's a toxic person. Or someone who's like constantly talking behind your back. They're toxic because it's not really good for your mental health or relationship like that. So toxic is a word to describe people. And a lot of these words are kind of like within itself. What's another one? Those were like my main ones that are like really, really popular now, but I had like a bunch of like other ones on my list just because I knew I would need more. Basic. That's sort of the opposite of fire or hard when it comes to like describing outfits. So say if you're just wearing a plain outfit, you're wearing like, a lot of common things that people wear all the time. That's basic. There's this meme going around in like the sneaker culture, because I personally love sneakers, that wearing a certain shoe called Air Force Ones, which a lot of people have. I personally don't have them, but a lot of people have this shoe. It's called Air Force Ones, and if you wear them, you're basic just because everyone has it. So basically means like, yeah, basic is, again, with its own name. It's something that's very common. Again, I don't really use basic that much, only in terms of like joking. Again, like a lot of these phrases I say jokingly, or sometimes we're like literally regular in my like normally oh my gosh, something I say regularly in my vernacular, or I guess in my vocabulary. Send the addy. It's in its name. Send the address. So if you have a party, yo, send the addy. Can you send the addy to the party? I don't really do this one because it's like, I feel like it's like a lot. It's a lot younger for me. Like that phrase is for younger people than me. Yeah. There's definitely a lot more words that I'm missing on this list, but those are like the main ones. So hopefully you're writing all of this down just so you can get like a basic understanding of what all of this is. Yeah. Again, hopefully I get to do this segment again because it was a lot of fun, and it was more just me just spewing out words and explaining them. Like I said, again, it was a lot of fun, and hopefully I get to update this soon. Yeah, it's like, yeah, give me a couple months, and I'll probably try to update it because there's definitely a lot more words are gonna come out of it. And again, I think I'm missing some words, but I think those are the main ones a lot of people use now, especially like simp, bet, and down bad are things you really see a lot on comment sections of TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, just because it's like a funny culture meme thing people say. So yeah, but in my next segment, I kind of want to talk about something that's been kind of taking over my life lately, and it's a good thing. It's a show called WandaVision, and every week I just want to share my opinions on it. I'm not gonna try to do any spoilers on it if you haven't watched it yet, but it's a show called WandaVision on Disney Plus, and I need some place to rant on it. And what better way to do that is to utilize this platform here. But yeah, I'm gonna talk about that show, my experiences with it, and it has a very cool aspect to it that not a lot of shows do, which I'm going to explain soon. But first, we will be taking a quick break. So see you guys in a second.
Want to find out what movies to go see? Then check out the GSMC Movie Podcast. It's your ticket to the latest movies, whether it's a new blockbuster event, romantic, comedy, or action flick. This show has got it all covered. They talk some what to go see now. Don't bother. What's hot on Netflix and everything in between. That's gsmcpodcast.com/movie-podcast. When it's all about the movies, it has to be this new show. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit gsmcpodcast.com for more info.
Alright, what's up guys? Welcome back to the podcast. Hope you guys enjoyed your break, because I for sure did. Now, I ended the last segment talking about a show that I have been keeping up with, a show that holds near and dear to my heart just because of how absolutely amazing it is. And that show is none other than WandaVision. Now, if you don't know what WandaVision is, it is a Marvel Studios show that continues the storyline from the previous comic book movies. Like Avengers, Infinity War, Ant-Man, Black Panther, all those movies. WandaVision sort of continues that story, but not in theaters, but through Disney Plus. Now, I have been watching this show ever since it came out, and honestly, no show has ever made me hooked as this one. Like, I've watched numerous shows. I've watched all different types of shows. I've watched shows, like simple shows, like, The Office, like that. A lot of very common shows that a lot of people watch. And from all the shows that I've watched, from all the movies that I've watched, I've never wanted to I don't know how to word this, but, like, I'm just excited for the week to happen just because I know that WandaVision episode is coming. And sadly, I'm sad to say this, but this week is the last episode of this season. And I kind of want to mention it before the episode, or the season ends, I mean. But yeah, I'm really sad. And the reason why I wanted to really talk about this is because there are aspects of the show that relate to pop culture, the internet, and even social media. And which I'm going to get to about later. But I kind of want to give a little experience on my part. Talk about my experience with the show and how much it's affected me or how much I've liked it. And honestly, I think it's top 3 shows for me. Number one, I can't put it in a specific order, but Cobra Kai's up there. It's another show on Netflix. The one with the Karate Kid, the show on Netflix. WandaVision, and probably something else. I don't know what it is, but probably something else. And again, no show has ever left me wanting more. Because if I compare it to a show like The Office, which honestly I really thought was funny, I thought it was good. I binged the whole thing in a summer, but I can finish an episode without having to wonder what will happen with the next one. I know this is one episode on The Office where Michael Scott makes a movie It's something with midnight in the name. I forgot what the midnight one is, but he makes a movie, and like basically the whole episode of that show is the movie that he made. And you can watch that and like not watch the rest of the show and still understand or still, get what's going on. But with WandaVision, you kind of have to watch every single episode of the week to gain an understanding with the show and what direction is going in. So it's very different. Like, although I did enjoy The Office, cliffhangers are pretty good when it comes to WandaVision. So it's very much like that situation, and it really does rely on the continuity too when it comes to that. So, for example, WandaVision continues off the very last movie that they made, which was back in like 2018, no, 2019, whenever Avengers Endgame came out. That was like right after. So there's always that continuity where it comes to one event here, and then the new show WandaVision comes, and then it still continues off from the last movie. So that's what I really like about the WandaVision. It's like they don't really miss out any details. It's more just continuity. It's a whole storyline, even though it's in separate forms of film. It's still the same plot or same story, just different branches of the plot. And that's what I really like about that. And WandaVision mixes a lot of different genres together. So some episodes can be a happy family episode where, Wanda and Vision are together, living a happy family, living together in a house. And the next one could be sad, it could be drama, and it can be action. There's a lot of action when it comes to Marvel movies, and sometimes even spooky. Like last episode, I watched it, it was kind of spooky for me. So yeah, the show has a lot of different aspects to it that make it very, very unique. And it also incorporates elements of pop culture and other movies. So, for example, the show I Love Lucy, which is back in like I don't know the exact era, but it's an older show. I Love Lucy was in that. There's a lot of references to that. The Dick Van Dyke Show, that was also mentioned or referenced in that in the show. So, for example, I don't know if this is a spoiler. Actually, I don't really want to give out spoilers, but the episode's already been out. But yeah, Dick Van Dyke Show has been mentioned or referenced, or used as a reference for that show. So like certain elements of the show, the Dick Van Dyke Show, can be seen as a parallel in WandaVision. And again, I think that's really, really, really cool that they do that. And if you just watch WandaVision, the whole show is based off of like a TV sitcom theme, but not really. But that's all I really want to say. I don't want to talk about like the plot too much or talk about like any details that might give it away in case anyone who's listening wants to watch WandaVision. But yeah, it incorporates a lot of elements of pop culture and real life to it. As although it is a comic book movie, that you still want your audience to feel like it's somewhat real, or these are real people with real feelings. Sometimes like shows or comic books tend to forget that superheroes have feelings, and the show really does incorporate that real life aspect to it. So big props to the people making it, producing it, for that. And overall, I just think it's a really, really, really good show. Like, it's something that I'm not sure if like a non-Marvel fan would watch, but it's definitely something. If you're a fan, you definitely have to check it out. Just because, like, in case you do want to watch the future movies, you have to watch this to understand it. Now, in terms of social media, I really want to incorporate this show into that because it is quite prominent among social media and how people are getting involved with it. So, first off, you get a lot of theorists or theories about the show on TikTok, Instagram, anything you see, any group when it comes to that on social media. So people are constantly like talking about, hey, this person is actually the bad guy, or this book in the movie is a key element of the plot. So people are constantly like taking details from the show and putting their theories on it and posting it out there. And you can find subreddits on Reddit fully dedicated to just theories on not just WandaVision but the whole Marvel Cinematic Universe. You get fans, you get people on social media getting involved, talking to each other, conversing about all these different theories and their ideas and what they'll think will happen within the next episodes. And honestly, I think it's a cool sense of community amongst everyone. And yeah, I could say I'm somewhat involved. I read a lot on them just to get an idea of what's going on. And yeah, I just really, I think it's really cool. I say really cool a lot, but like it honestly is really cool. Now, for the next one, like a lot of fans, I noticed a lot of fans ask for the next episode or what's going to happen in the next episode. Ask for details, commenting on the production's Instagram page. So like Marvel's Instagram page has a lot of fans talking about the latest episode, talking about, oh my goodness, I can't believe this happened, or did this really happen? Did he or she die? Or like, all these things. People commenting on social media and just trying to get a response out of them. And in relation to that, actors are also getting involved with their fans. They are either answering interviews through BuzzFeed or something like that, and answering questions about, about the show or the films that they made. And fans are also getting involved with that, commenting, reacting, interacting with all that. And it's seeing that dynamic between the actors and the fans is something that you don't really see that often. But also, like, in a more close sense. Say Paul Bettany, the actor that plays Vision, posts on Instagram a video of him reacting to a theory that a fan had. That can really change the whole game. And that somewhat one-on-one interaction with a big name actor with a fan is very prominent among social media. And the actors of WandaVision or just Marvel movies in general have done that before, and I've seen it on Instagram. Robert Downey Jr., Scarlett Johansson, Chris Evans, and like all of them have tried to interact with their fans on social media as much as they can when it comes to things about their movies in Marvel or their shows in Marvel or anything like that. And I think it's really cool. And popular places. I know, like, I was looking through BuzzFeed's page, I guess, their main page, and you can find like a bunch of articles regarding WandaVision and like the whole story and the whole plot about it, and how it really just shows how big of an impact this show has because of the fan base that it has. There is a large fan base of people wanting and becoming curious every single week for an episode, and BuzzFeed realized that a lot of people like this, so they incorporated more quizzes, more articles, more activities on the website to get that fan base on their website. So other social media platforms are also kind of taking advantage of this sort of wave when it comes to WandaVision. And I think another thing, the reason why it kind of sticks out to me, or just of a lot of fans, is that how consistent the show is. You get shows that, especially on Netflix, that release episodes every, like a whole season in just one day. So like, for example, as I mentioned before, I'm a big fan of Cobra Kai, and that came out, I believe, that came out New Year's Day, so January 1st, and at first I was really excited, seeing the show come out after, like, being a big fan and waiting a whole year from the last season, and then me realizing I finished the whole show in a week. Like, I think it was 8 or 10 episodes, and I finished it in a whole week. And the interesting thing about WandaVision is that they only have one episode come out every week. So even though I believe this has 9 episodes, this season 1 of WandaVision has 9 episodes, and that's lasted 9 weeks. But with Cobra Kai, that had 10 episodes, and it lasted 1 week for me. So it's really interesting how these shows put out their shows and how they're able to get watchers. And it really depends on the person, because like for me, like I like to finish shows as soon as I start it. That's why like I'm kind of like, I don't hate WandaVision, just because like that's why I'm also really attracted to the show, just because I'm always left wanting more, and I'm so used to just finishing a show that I kind of just want to get the show done and get an idea of what's happening. So that's, Netflix does that a lot, where they put out a show. So it'd be like, Cobra Kai, You, and a bunch of other shows, and people finish it within a course, like at least 2 weeks, or at most 2 weeks. But like, so yeah, of course, like these Disney shows, especially WandaVision, they sort of take their time with it. They allow their audience to process what happened, talk about it for a week. Make sure it gains some traction on social media, get more people talking, create some buzz, and then drop the next episode. And it's sort of the rinse and repeat sort of thing. So if, like, say if you watch an episode of Cobra Kai, you don't have enough time. Like, you wouldn't you wouldn't like waste time just talking about it on social media. You sort of just like finish an episode, oh, I'm curious, then watch the next one. So like, you know, but with WandaVision, you watch an episode, get curious, let it sit for a bit, gain, you know, spread the word out, talk about it with friends, get more people involved, and then watch the next episode. So it's really like a, you know, it's a full-on cycle. And yeah, and I think overall it's a really good way for fans, I guess like OG fans, original fans that love the comic books. It's a really good way. That's why a lot of people resonate with it. So like for example, my dad, he grew up on like the whole comic book phase. He still is he is, and he loves comic books. He loves everything Marvel, DC. He used to read all the comics all the time, and him growing up seeing it in live action he is just really interested in all the movies and the show that they put out. So I think it really, WandaVision just applies to a lot of different generations. So like, you know, me, a younger generation, even though I didn't grow up in the comic book area, I'm still growing up with these movies coming out and still seeing the plot or the timeline happening as my dad did when he was reading the comics. So overall, like, I think it's just a good show to just watch with people, and it's just an overall good show in general. You should definitely check it out if you're a big Marvel fan. And if you're not, try getting into the whole Marvel thing, because I've had friends who did not watch any of the like comic book movies because they thought it was like it wasn't their thing. They didn't like, you know, comic book stuff, not my thing, you know. But like they watched one Iron Man movie and they're just hooked. So definitely try it out. In my opinion, I think it's a good way to start new things. If you're running out of shows, if you watch Grey's Anatomy for the 6th time and you're getting tired of it, start watching more Marvel stuff. But yeah. And I think with that, I think that's the end of the episode today. So again, I want to say thank you all for listening to the podcast. This has been the GSMC Social Media News Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. And I really do appreciate any feedback. And if you leave positive feedback, that helps me a lot too. You know, helps me stay as a host. But yeah, any positive feedback, that would be wonderful. So, and please make sure to follow us on any social media. So like Twitter, I'm not sure if we're on Instagram, but if we do, follow us on Instagram. But like Twitter, Facebook, and anything like that, please make sure to follow us, support us. We really do appreciate it. And with that, thank you for listening to the episode. I'll see you all in the next one.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Social Media Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.